Yo, what is up guys? It is esports content entertainment coming at you guys with another video here today. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about Excel and their decision to let go of their coaching staff because of the horrible performance the Excel League of Legends roster had for the LEC 2023 winter split. So if you are new to watching competitive League of Legends, particularly when we're talking about Europe, don't worry, I'll explain to you guys YoungBuck and Excel's history in the LEC. So from when I started watching, YoungBuck had already retired. He was a top laner for a team, and then later on went to become the head coach for G2 Esports, where he won 4 LEC titles, or as it was called back in the day, 4 European LCS titles, right? So then, after he left G2 Esports, he became a part of Fnatic as a team coordinator at that current moment in time. People forget this, Dylan Falco was the head coach of Fnatic, who went on to, coach for Schalke No Fear, and then later on now is the head coach of G2 Esports. Dylan Falco had already previously head coached in, LCS as well. So YoungBuck has amassed 6 titles, his nickname being the 6-star general. And then after, 2018 for 2019, particularly when it came to YoungBuck, the roster around him with Fnatic just really wasn't working out very well. I mean, they didn't do terrible, but they didn't really get the results that they were hoping for. And then also at the World Championship, they were knocked out by FunPlus Phoenix during the 2019 World Championship quarterfinals 3-1. So after YoungBuck had been with Fnatic for 2 years, 2 titles in 2018, no titles in 2019, but they made the finals in the LEC 2019 summer split, because people forget this. In the LEC 2019 spring split, Fnatic lost to Origin, actually, so they ended up losing in the 3rd place match, and they finished 3rd place overall in that spring split. So then YoungBuck gets hired to be the head coach of this organization, who is now called Excel. Their name back in the day was Excel Esports, right? So YoungBuck has been the head coach of Excel Esports since the LEC 2020 spring split, right? And he has always not really had the best players at his disposal, but over time, he actually got some pretty okay to good players, and then they were able to acquire YoungBuck, right? Who you guys now see as the head coach of 100 Thieves. YoungBuck, storied LEC player, who I think is always kind of just randomly shitted on, despite actually being a pretty good overall mid laner for what he was able to offer. Yeah, he had some bad splits, but, a lot of players do, right? So then it all culminates into Excel being one of the really, really bad LEC organizations. So for Excel, right? Excel joined during the 2019 inaugural season of the rebranded European LCS to be the LEC, right? And they finished 10th, 9th place, as they should. They built dog shit rosters, and then when they brought over YoungBuck, it was supposed to be a partnership between them. That being the fact that YoungBuck was going to obviously, bring up some new talent, and then also, get this organization to be someone that could be feared in the LEC, right? Because you're bringing over YoungBuck for his experience as a head coach and what he could offer from the other bigger European LEC organizations, right? So Excel, along with YoungBuck, really, at some points, they could have made playoffs, but it was due to tiebreakers and losing very, very key matches, during various splits where they couldn't reach playoffs, routinely finishing between 7th and 8th place. During the 2020 year, they could have made playoffs, narrowly finishing in 7th place. And then in 2021, also that being the same story. And then in 2022, Excel's playoff curse gets broken. They have the roster of Finn, you had Marcoon, YoungBuck, they had Patrick, and then they had Mickey X. They had already brought over Marcoon and Advian, but remember, they chose to bench Advian and get rid of him for Mickey X, who was free from G2 Esports' contract at that current moment in time, right? So then last year, Excel finally break their curse and actually make playoffs both times. Should they have made playoffs both times? Probably not, because other rosters with much better players just pretty much failed. But to be fair, they did kind of become really clutch in certain moments to make it into playoffs. So it's however you want to interpret that scenario and those splits, right? So due to them being the final seed going into the playoffs and being the last seed being 6th place automatically means that in the previous LEC format, if you are between 5th and 6th, right, you automatically go to the losers bracket. So Excel automatically had to fight through the losers bracket. They narrowly ended up losing to Team Vitality, who a lot of people thought they actually had a chance to beat. I mean, Excel in these playoff series had a very good shot at making it to the next round, but nevertheless, also the same story happens in summer. In summer, they were also, like looking really, really wonky, as same as spring. They had better shining moments in summer than they actually did in spring, and narrowly made playoffs, and they almost defeated Fnatic. The same Fnatic that went on to beat Mad Lions and Misfits, and then they lost to Rogue in that 3rd place match decider, right? For the, 2022 League of Legends World Championship, right? So then, after that, they narrowly lose to Fnatic, they narrowly lose to Vitality, they both, obviously, 3-2 series, but they got over their playoff curse, right? So that's a good year for Excel, right? Then in 2023, they bring over players like Otawamne, Xerxes, Vetio, Patrick has been their mainstay AD carry for a very, very long time. And then they brought over Targamas. Now, Otawamne had already previously won the LEC 2022 Summer Split Championship. So they're bringing over the guy that just won the recent title, and that's good for Excel standards, right? Because they're usually used to getting like players who are like okay to solid, but never like the best in any of their positions, right? So then you also added and you bring in Xerxes. Now, Xerxes is complete dog shit, but Xerxes did play well on Astralis last split, right? For the LEC 2022 Summer Split. Now, I personally think he only played as well as he did because he knew if he didn't actually play that well during that split, he would have gotten no offers. Xerxes, long tenured jungler, part of many, many teams. He was already not good in the LCS on Immortals with Giliodo. Xerxes has been on the decline ever since his Unicorns of Love days were his best days, in my own personal opinion. Ever since his Unicorns of Love days, he's pretty much just not been a good jungler, in my own personal opinion. Vetio was on Misfits, actually, remember, starting in 2021. He was really bad in 2021. I think people really need to go back and watch his play in 2021. He was extremely bad. Now, he was a rookie then, so that you can kind of give him a pass for, but he was really bad. 2022, he played a lot better, even getting MVP nods. I gave him the MVP myself on the Cloud9 podcast as well. And then in summer, obviously, I think other people deserved it more than him, but I still think it was pretty good, right? Now, the reason why Vetio was really as good as he was, remember, guys, that Misfits roster really wasn't that good. When it came to playoffs, everyone knew they were getting completely waxed, right? So then after that, Vetio had to play with people like Schlachten and Zanzura, players who really aren't that good at all, but they were good because of the engaged junglers that you were having at the time of the meta. Viego, Poppy, Lee Sin, right? You have Jarvan right there as well. And I think even though Schlachten and Zanzura really weren't that good, the added aspect that they were willing to make the plays and engage obviously allowed Vetio to follow up. Vetio has this really bad problem of just being very passive in lane, Now, I don't know what happened with this guy in 2022 because he didn't play this way in 2022, so maybe it's just the environment that was around him in Excel in 2023. But it's just one of those things when it comes to these bottom tier teams is that when these players get brought up to bigger or other teams, it's like the narrative is, did this player look only really good because they're actually really good, or they're only shining because the team is not that good, right? Because also on that Misfits gaming roster, you had Irrelevant, you also had Neon. Irrelevant now made top 4. He's looking pretty good. Neon's on Team Vitality. He's looking like Neon. I've never been the hugest fan of Neon. I've watched that guy literally since he's entered the league. I just don't think he's that good, honestly. He's a serviceable weak side ADC, right? So with Vetio, he's a really hit or miss player. Last year, he hit really hard, but in 2021, he missed. He literally was the single reason why Misfits did not beat Fnatic in that series. He's not like a player you want to bet on big time. He's not like a Caps. He's not like a Niski. He's not like or a Larson. He's not like one of these players. Or, you could arguably say Humanoid when Humanoid was in his prime and not the Humanoid now, right? He's just not that kind of dude, you know? He's not the guy to take the game in his hands and actually make the big play, you know? So then after that, you have Patrick. Patrick's a player that, like, okay, I'll be honest here. When he was on H2K back in 2017, for my longtime viewers right there who know that, he got those resources because he was the only player that knew how to effectively use those resources. He himself wasn't that good, right? Patrick is a serviceable top 5 ADC for LEC standards, right? But then, whenever this guy doesn't perform as very well as hard carry ADCs like Comp, fucking Upset, Unforgiven, Forgiven in the past, you know, or you could arguably say like Kabe to some extent has some carry potential, Crown Shot carry potential, as you guys saw this past split. He's just not that level of an ADC, and I don't know where that comes from. He is a serviceable, okay to solid top 5 European ADC. He's nothing more than that. There's nothing special to this guy. I have literally watched this guy ever since his name was Sheriff. I know I've seen, like, I'm not gonna sit here and fucking be on that copium ship here. Oh, he's really good. Why? Because no, he's not that good. He is good, but he will be like a C tier ADC, in my own personal opinion, right? So then you have Targamas. Targamas actually he looked good with G2 in that LEC 2022 spring split, and he looked good at MSI 2022, but when it came to like the LEC 2022 summer split and then Worlds 2022, Targamas ran it down extremely hard. That was the more questionable pick that I had for Excel coming into this season, because Targamas ran it down really hard. He was extremely bad, right? So I know people say, but he's not that good, okay? I remember Targamas when he was on Giants Gaming back in 2018. He's not that good. I was surprised he played as well as he did in spring, honestly. And I give him credit where credit due. He played well in spring, but he's not that good, right? The reason why I had XL Esports top 3 was because I thought some of the parts of the roster would make it for the other parts, right? The way Xerxes was recently playing, the way Otawamne was recently playing, and you want to kind of base these things off, like, not really recency bias, but kind of seeing how the roster all comes together. I think this was a well-constructed roster, but I think the added aspect of they needed not a certain player on this roster, right? All the players on this roster were too passive, right? What I mean by that is if you watch Xerxes play, he is one of the most disgusting passive junglers I have ever seen. This guy is running it on stage, right? And there's no like Zanzara on this roster. There's no Schlatten. There's no Shio. There's no Yike. There's no 133 to get the game going. None of these players really get the game going, right? I think if you minus Xerxes and give him a jungler that can get things going in the early game, then I think the roster looks a bit more better, right? Remember, Excel had Marcoon. Marcoon ended up looking really good on SK Gaming, looking like a top 4 jungler, right? But Marcoon was also on Excel last year and looked like he really did know what to do based around the passive players that Excel always have. Excel always just randomly throughout their org's iteration when it comes to League of Legends, they're keeping these passive players that don't do anything in lane and you just sit there and lose. That's always been their case for a lot of splits, right? So that is my position right there when it comes to Excel. Now, do I think they'll keep any of the players on this roster? I think the only players they would be willing to keep are Otawamne. I think he was the lone bright spot of this roster. I'm not giving up on that guy, like, ever. He's been such a solid, consistent top laner, you know, throughout the LEC. So that'd be like, okay, he had like a bad split in his career, and like how many? No, he's always been pretty good, you know. One bad split, yeah, it's okay, happens, right? But as the year go by, if he still keeps playing this way, then it's not going to be very good, right? Patrick probably is someone they're still going to keep, but I don't know. They really shouldn't keep Patrick or Targamas, given how bad their laning phase won. I think they'll probably keep Patrick. They might end up even keeping Vetio, even though Vetio really didn't look that good the entire split, right? I think the players you need to sorely get rid of are Xerxes and Targamas. Those are players you need to get rid of. They're not good, right? So then the coaching staff, right? So there's not really much a coaching staff can really do to motivate the players, practice environment. I mean, it's all a big machine where if one piece in the machine is not working, then it all just falls apart, right? So Alejandro Gomez tweeted, sources, YoungBuck and Nelson will no longer be a part of the XL Esports coaching staff. So I remember Nelson, a part of some of the, I Will Dominate and Thorin shows. He coached in the LPL. He coached that G2 roster for a little bit with Reckless. That didn't work out. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so YoungBuck and Nelson will no longer be a part of the XL Esports coaching staff for the upcoming LEC split, sources told Blix.gg on Wednesday. The decision was reportedly made by XL's management after a catastrophic split where they finished in last place with 1 win and 8 losses match record. So yes, that 1 win that they have, they don't even deserve that. That was just because BDS threw. If BDS doesn't throw that game, they lose every game. Every game. There were games that they were ahead in. Even the games that they were ahead in, they don't know how to play from ahead. They don't know how to play from behind. This team was so freaking bad. There's a real possibility you see pretty much 3 out of the 5 players on this roster not even here, This is a new format of the tournament. Previously, oh, what the hell? Oh, I'm on crack. This is a new format of the tournament. Previously, we reported all the details here of the LEC 2023 format. At the moment, sources close to Blix.gg cannot confirm a new coaching staff of XL Esports. We will keep you informed when a decision is made. Yeah, XL need a lot of changes. And that's my thing too, and something that I'm going to take, consideration in going into, other splits when it comes to, just power rankings is organizations like XL have never shown any promise or anything, even when they had somewhat to okay solid players, still showing no promise, nothing. So yeah, I put all my stock into the XL, basket, and I honestly thought the roster could have been a whole lot more better initially when you're thinking about it, going into the season, right? But it's the same thing like Dignitas and their roster. It's if Dig as an org has never shown you they're not good at anything, what would make the difference now? Or it's a new year, but it doesn't mean anything because the org has never shown anything, even with decent players. At least sometimes with esports org, when it comes to all these major regions, when it comes to League of Legends, even some decent or teams in not so good orgs at least do something, Excel's never shown nothing, even with decent players. So why would I automatically assume that with better players will just be better? It's it's on some copium shit, and I was on copium when I put them top 3. And hey, it happens, happens. It's power rankings. What can you really do? I thought the roster really could have worked, honestly, but it turns out all these players just grief it and just ran it downstage, But yes, I will be doing a video covering the Fnatic issues. I know there's the rumors out there about the Fnatic issues, but I'll try and get that video up for you guys. I don't make too much pre-recorded content, obviously, because I just really don't have the time for it, right? But I make sure I give you guys your Cloud9 podcast episodes, right? So what do you guys think about XL's LEC 2023 winter split? Why do you guys think it didn't go so well? I mean, is coaching staff one of the main reasons why? It could be a lot of things. Bad team cohesion, don't agree on how to play the game, bad practice environment, maybe scrims going really bad meta reads, all that stuff, right? There's a lot that goes into this, and I think XL were very, very less than the sum of their parts, right? But I will see you guys later. Like, comment, and subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I am MSK, and this is Esports Content Entertainment, your one place for esports content. All right, guys. See you guys later. Deuces. Peace.